So chances are, if you're watching this video, you're looking to become a network admin or you just want to brush up on your networking skills, well, you're in the right place. I will teach you the most important tools required for this type of job and send you off with confidence. Once you complete this super easy to follow course, you will have the key to succeed in IT world. After all, knowledge is power. So here we are, the new guy at the company, started as a network administrator, and the first thing you're presented with is Active Directory user accounts and computers. Okay, so what do you do? Your main job most of the time will be to add computers or users into the Active Directory. And the reason for that is when you arrive at a company that already has a network and a domain set up already, you will not have to go through the server setup or installation yourself. So the main thing left is to deal with computers on the network or on the domain and the user accounts. So you probably already went through this in your class if you are fresh out of college. But it's good to have a good overview, and there are a few things that you may not be aware of when working in a business environment. But I will certainly go over that and the main things that you have to worry about within Active Directory, so that way, once you do get your new job, you won't, well, you'll feel right. You, I should say, you should feel like right at home, right? So first thing I'd like to talk about. So in order to get to the Active Directory, users and computers, first thing you got to do is click Start. And since I already accessed this there, but you can also get to it through Administrative Tools and select Active Directory Users and Computers, or you can go down to Programs, click Administrative Tools, and select Active Directory Users and Computers. And we can click OK. That's just user account controls. So let's say your new task at the company is to add a couple of computers to your domain. So how do we do that? Well, it's very simple. As you can see here, this is Active Directory Users and Computers, and under Computers tab, and mind you, once you select Computers tab here, at your new place, at your new job, this is going to be heavily populated. Chances are there might be a bunch of different things, bunch of different groups of computers already in here, and this is empty because it's a brand new server installation. So how do we add a computer? Well, we simply right click. Well, there are a couple of ways to get the same option. You can either right click, make sure you have computers selected in this case, because that's just basically the folder that we're going to have the computers for the domain located in. So make sure you have that highlighted. So you can either in here, you can just right click and select new computer, or you can right click on this folder and select new computer. Okay, so here's the pop-up that we get, and it's basically asking us for the computer name. So one thing to know here is unless you already have a basically assigned name for the computer that you're trying to add, you're going to want to give it a new one. So for example, let's say you get a new computer and you haven't given it a name yet. Once you go through the imaging part of it, once you're done, it's going to ask you for your what do you want to name the computer. You can do this ahead of time in order to make sure that computer can connect to the domain right away. Okay, so here you need to give it or match the exact name that you already have for the new computer. So, and you can do this ahead of time. So before you even re-image or image the new computer, or before you even connect the network, you can give it a name. And then once you install the new computer or install Windows on the new computer, you got to make sure it matches this name. So we're just going to call it new computer. Okay, so this is going to be the same thing for the other one. Okay, and I don't know, I'm not sure if you have watched my previous video on how to add a computer to a network from the host or the local level, meaning that you already have a computer connect network, you just wanted to join to a domain. I'll go ahead and post a link right up here if you want to check that out. This is just a different way of doing it through the Active Directory. So the best practice is to add the computer name to the Active Directory first, and then move it into the proper groups, which I'll go over here in a second too. And then add the computer to the network, connect it to the network, install the operating system, and give it this name, which in our case is new computer. So that way it has immediate access to this domain. Okay. I'm just going to leave this as it is for now. And just for the demonstration, I'll go ahead and click OK. So here we are. There's our new computer. Now, first thing you got to make sure is that this computer is enabled. Okay. By default, it does get enabled, but sometimes, for whatever the reason may be, it can get disabled. So you want to make sure that it's not disabled. Like right now, it's enabled, so it gives us option to disable it. So if we just right-click, we can disable it. And it says disabled. And then if we it's a good idea to also know if there's something wrong with the computer or cannot connect to the network. Basically, you try to log into it and it just says your computer does not belong to this domain or such. It's going to look like this. You see how it changed, the little icon changed? That means it's disabled. So this is a good way to know what happened to that computer. So you can just right click and then enable it. Enable account. Because basically adding a computer to the domain is basically creating an account for it, just like for the users. Okay, and then here we can look at the properties. If you just right click it and just go to properties, there are a few different things you can look at here, but the main thing you want to look at is the members of. Chances are this will be left at default, but that's okay. I mean, I don't know, every business has a different rules that may apply to you, so you may have to ask your superior or your senior member of your group to basically tell you if this PC needs to be a member of a group. But by default, it's just member of this domain. That's all it is. And here you can go through this and look through these, but you don't necessarily have to worry about it at all. The main thing you want to make sure is that it is added on the domain and that it's active. Okay, so that's pretty much it for adding a new computer to the domain through Active Directory. Now moving on to the users. As you can see here, there's a users folder. So these are the users for this domain in this and under this folder, right? So these are all the domain users within this folder. So as you can see here, right now I'm logged in as COBUMAN1, and that's my login for this domain. But let's go ahead and add our own new created user to the account. So let's say a new person gets hired, and you want to add him or give him an account so they can log into a computer. You simply, and you can either, just like up here for the computers, you can right click anywhere in the blank space. You just got to make sure this is selected. Now also worth to mention, there might be subfolders in here too, because you can, as you can see, you can create a subfolder in here, but most likely everything's going to be on here. So just right click, new user, and here it's a very simple form. And this is the main thing you really have to worry about. So you need person's name, and we're just going to name them new user. So I'm just going to be first name is going to be new, and if they have initials, you can put that in. It's just kind of a semantics here. New user. This is probably something you'd want to fill out, but this here is something that you have to really worry about, because their name may not be the actual login, so it may be something different depending on, like I said, what the rules are for your company. It might be just a set of numbers. It doesn't matter. I mean, it just varies, right? So in this case, we're just going to type in new user for the login name as well. So we're just gonna, unless there are multiple domains in here, we can just leave this at default. Make sure you have the right domain selected. but most likely it will be. And then you would just click next here. So now we just have to add the password. So we just have to come up with a temporary password. So if we leave this, chances are we're going to leave this at default, which is basically means that once the new user tries to log in with their new login ID and password, it's going to prompt them to change it so that they have their own unique password. So this you want to, if that's the case, you want to make this something very simple to start with. So we're just going to make it temp1, temp1, capital T, 1 password. So that way it's easier to remember, and then they can just, matter of fact, it's too short. I'm sorry about that. Let's make it temp123. Temp123, capital T. Um, yeah, let's see here. And then if you look at these here, it depends on the rules for your company. Uh, this is might be something that you want to do. Basically, user cannot change a password, and if you want, like I said, if a company wants to have the full access to the person's profile, you might want to make it so they cannot uh, change their password. Um, but in order to do that, you have to uncheck this first. So once you select that, you have to uncheck this first. So, but like I said, it really depends with your company. So wherever you do get this job, just make sure what the rules are. Double check the rules. But most likely it will be like this, where the user will be prompted to make their own password. You can also set so the password never expires. This is not a good idea. I would not leave that as it is. I believe that by default passwords expire every 3 months. And then here you can also disable the account. Okay, and I can show you how we can do that after we if somebody gets terminated, I'll show you how to go back to this part where you can disable it. So if somebody gets terminated, you want to disable the account. So we got the temporary password in. It's going to force them to change it whenever they try to log in. We're going to hit next and then finish. And there's our new user account right there. And then just to kind of look at it or to see the information on it, we can just double click it. And here you can fill in more information, like it depends on what your company requires. You can put in a description in the general tab, office, a little bit more information, phone number, email, address, or even a web page. Depends. Like if they have an email set up, you probably want to set this in here. Their phone number, their desk phone number, and then it's kind of very self-explanatory. And then the other thing you can check is this is something like if somebody gets locked out of their computer, this is the part you'll be looking at a lot. Okay, so somebody calls in and says, I can't log into my computer. Chances are they tried too many times and they'll lock themselves. So in order to unlock them, because there's a limited times, there's a limit of how many times you can try to log in and type in the wrong password, you would just select this and then hit apply. So you check unlock account and then hit apply. Okay, and here is this previous menu that we saw. We can, like, if somebody gets terminated, here you can disable the account. So you just select that and you disable the account. The same thing to enable it back up. And you can also send it when the account expires. It really depends, like I said, what your company rules are. Not to stress that too much. Another thing you want to look at, profile path. You can set a profile path for your users, especially if you have a roaming profiles. So if the profiles are, like, for example, located on a server, here you would type in where the profile path would create. So for example, you probably already know this, but if you go to your computer and you go to C drive, the default path for a person's profile is under users. So as you can see here, there's my account right there, COBUMAN1. So every time some new person logs into a computer, or somebody logs into at a different computer, it creates a local profile for them, which is located under C users, and it's going to be located right there. As you can see, there's mine. This one doesn't show up on my computer because I have not used this account for this new user account to log into this computer. So naturally, it's not going to show up, right? And in case you're not familiar, these local profiles just have your basic stuff, your desktop icons, your documents, just regular local profile stuff. Kind of self-explanatory there. And then let's go back to this. Oh shoot, I lost it there for a sec. Ah, there it is. It was hiding. So, and then that's the profile path. So instead of going to see users, and in this case, it will be C colon users. For this profile, it would be new user. That's what it would look like under here. So if we go here, it would just say new user, and it'll be located like that. So you can specify that. You can even change that, or if it's a roaming profile on like a server level, chances are you would type in, for example, local profile server. Let's just pretend that's the name of the server, and then it would point to that, and it would create this profile on a server for them. This is just an example. Okay, so login scripts. Login scripts are basically scripts that execute after you log in. So you log into a computer, and it's gonna run a batch script that will basically do things like map your network drive, or copy some files over to your desktop, or you can pretty much set it up to anything you'd like. It's just a batch script, and then this is just the points to the location of the batch script. And again, it could be anywhere on a server, and you would just type in that server information, server info, whatever that may be, and then it'll be batch script.bat, and it would just execute it. And I'll go ahead and post a link. I made a video on how to map a network drive, and one of them included creating a basic batch script, which I'll go ahead and create a link right here. So if you guys want to check that out, feel free to click on it, or so you can save it later or look at it later, or it doesn't matter, or just come back to this video. It's up to you. And then a third thing we can look at is a member of. This is something you want to look at. Make sure that this new user is part of a proper group that it needs to be in. For example, you have at your business, there's a department called accounting, and let's just say this person is in an accounting group, and they would have to be added into this accounting group, which I'll go ahead and show you real quick on how it looks like. So let's add this person to the accounting group. Okay, I'm just gonna move this out of the way real quick, and right here. So let's go back to our Active Directory so we can create our accounting group. Most likely, like I said, if you're new at the company, they will already have groups created, and you would just basically move them to that group. But for the sake of demonstration, let's go ahead and create a group. I'm just going to create it here under users. So same thing, we're just going to right click on their users here, and we're just going to say new, and we're going to say a group. Okay, and we can name it, and let's call it accounting. And then here you can just leave this by default. Most likely you will leave it a default, and like I said, if any of this is different, you'll have to check with your supervisor or your senior member. Okay, but as it is, I'm explained in a sense where it's simple to understand, so I'm not going to go into incredible detail of each one of these options are. This is just to get you going, because when you're new at a company, and especially if you're straight out of college, there are a lot more things you will learn over time, and there are a lot of things you don't have to necessarily worry about to get you going. This is just to get you on your way and get you started. So we're going to click OK, and there's our group called accounting. So let's double click it to see what we have here. Okay. So here's our group, and it's named accounting, obviously, and we can add a description for it. We can create if they have a setup email, at the Exchange server, we can put their email in here so that way they can get emails for this group. And then if you look at this tab, members, we can add members to this group. This is one way of we can either do it here where we created this new user, because we're going to add them to this group. We can either add them here. So we're just going to type in here. Just going to type in I'm sorry, we're just going to type in the name of this group. So the name of the group is accounting, right? Accounting. We can either click check name and see how it changes. It gets underlined. That means it found this group under this domain. Okay, then we can just click OK here. So you can see this person is added under this group. And the reason you'd want to do this, because different groups can have different permissions set. For example, some groups may have more privileges. For example, like whether they have the ability to install software or view different things or launch different specific applications. But I don't want to get into detail right now. I just want to show you how to add and move people from different groups. So here's our person added to this group, accounting. But let's go ahead and remove it and do the same thing. So this is our new user account. This is a user account right here, new user. So let's close that. And here we can do basically the same thing, but we're just, in this case, since we're in the accounting group, here we're just going to add the new user account, which happens to be the new user, our new user. And the same thing, we can check the name and see how it looks slightly different. It's underlined but also populated a little bit more. It basically tells you that this person, new user, is a member of this newserver.com, which is the name of this domain that I've created in this Active Directory. But you just want to make sure that it finds it, and you can just go ahead and click OK, and there's this person added to this group. Okay, you can also add this group to a subgroups. So the same difference you can hear, but I don't want to go into that too much to confuse you. Okay, so you just want to make sure that the new user is added to the proper group. Okay, and then just to go over a little bit, this tab here, the right hand side where it says managed by, you can also change this. For example, if there's a designated person that handles accounts for this specific accounting group, we can add him in here. And let's go ahead and just to kind of make it easy to understand, we're going to create a account for this person as well. So let's go to here, right here, and create a new account. New user. And we're going to name him person in charge of accounting. Or let's say accounting manager, right? Make it a little bit more make it less complicated sounding and less and shorter as well, right? Easier to remember. And then we're going to create a same for their login ID, manager, and click next. Set their password to temp123, temp123. Hit next, click finish, and now we can assign this accounting manager to have a full, so he can manage his accounting group, right? So we just have to click here, change here, and the same difference like we did on the other ones. We're just going to type in his name or his login ID. Accounting. I probably should spell accounting fully. Accounting manager. And then we check name. I will always like to do this instead of okay, because I just really got to make sure that this is the right person added before I click OK, right? Because sometimes you can mistype somebody's login ID and it might be just similar to somebody else, so you don't want to give somebody else an access to this. So that's why I always click check name, and then then you can kind of see exactly what's added in there. Then you can OK. So this person can now make changes to membership. They can add their own memberships, but you got to make sure this is checked. Okay. So this person can keep adding more people to this group. Basically, that's what that is. Okay. And chances are this person would be like another network admin, or you know, or it could be just a manager in this group. It all depends how it is set up for your company, right? And that's pretty much to. Oh yeah, just one more thing. I want to show you how you can reset somebody's password once once somebody calls in and says I forgot my password. But before I show you how to reset user's password, I also wanted to point this out. There is a faster way to um, basically add somebody to the group or disable somebody's account, and that is right here. So if you right click on the user, you can add the user to a group. The reason I showed you the roundabout way, because I feel like it's important to know exactly um, where things are going, right? Where things happen. So teach you a hard way and then easy way as a reward, right? So so if you right click on the new user that we created as our first user, we can right click on them and then move them to group, and then we can go through all the motions again. And here you can disable the account, and here's you can also move them to a different group, um, or, and then you can reset the password right here. So let's reset the password. We can change the password again to whatever, forgot password, or whatever. You can type in whatever you want, whatever you feel comfortable with, and then it's the same difference here. And then you can check this here to make sure to unlock their account, because chances are they already locked their account by trying too many times. And then after you type in whatever the password you want to set it as, you just click OK, and then you're done. And you can just tell them to try again, and that'll be that. Well, guys, that's it for this video. In my next video, I'll be talking about on how to add a printer, a network printer, through a Active Directory so that it can be shared across the network, and also how to install that shared network printer at a user's computer so they can access it. Okay, you can look forward to that, and also if you'd like this video, I'll go ahead and share it with your friends and family, and I'll see you next time. Okay, bye bye.